in one of those elimination rounds. Yuanji Lee on your left with Phi versus Ryan Rich on your right with Oldhim. We talked about this being one of the biggest matchups in all of CC right now. And Yuanji, we've seen him all weekend long. We've seen Ryan Rich as well. Both these guys deserving players to be in this top 8. We'll see who's going to make it through.
Yeah, and Yuanji again repping that Searing Ember Blade Phi, kind of taking things back a bit, not going into the Kodachi build that we've seen more and more Phi players use. I also see the Minnowism ready to go, so a little Minnowism build, just like you would expect.
I also tried to tell Ryan, I was like, I'm going to try to get you on camera as much as possible. He's got an altered Oldhim to be something like, I think it's like Count Dracula.
Okay.
And then his Frostbite is like, it's like a jack-o'-lantern. It's got like
cool.
a very Halloween-ish kind of thing. And like, hey, look, we're getting to that time of year.
Absolutely,
it's
my favorite
fall.
time of year, my favorite holiday.
Do you like spiced pumpkin lattes and things like that?
No.
We're not that basic?
No, not that basic, but,
okay.
you know, my birthday is coming up. It falls right near Halloween, so that's pretty exciting.
I'm a little bit after that as well. I'm not excited about the age that I'm turning, but
10, and I got the big 4-0 on deck, and
I'm a little behind that.
That is devastating.
You see that number next to Ryan Rich's name? I'm getting close to that one.
Okay.
All right. And then we got a stalagmite as well on Ryan Rich's side. I actually think this is pretty cool in this matchup because here's the thing. Yeah, you might get more blocks out of a Rampart, but maybe not in this matchup.
It's a quick matchup, and you know the early reviews on Stalagmite versus Rampart, how you're supposed to make that decision, were about, well, how many turns of the game are you playing? If it's going to be a short game,
how big is the Frostbite?
Yeah, if you're going to play a short game, get the Stalagmite out there. If your opponent's resort light, get the Stalagmite out there. But Stalagmite very much fallen out of favor recently. Cool to see it make a return here for Ryan Rich, and again, innovation showcased all over the place.
And like we talked about, this isn't your Oldhim that you expected if you haven't been keeping up with the last week. This is going to try to kill you. This is going to attack you, especially in this matchup. They're going to try to race as much as they can, and that's a Spinal Crush. And that's why another reason that I think you see the Stalagmite being picked in this kind of matchup is it doesn't cost any resources to be used.
Yeah, and to that effect, let's go ahead and look at Yuanji's equipment when it comes to resources that don't cost anything to be used. Going with the crown here in the head slot. And, you know, we almost always see this head slot occupied by one of the masks. Mask of the Pouncing Link, Mask of Momentum. Yuanji playing it different, though, saying this block value is critical for tempering what these Oldhims can do to you.
Yeah, also with a little bit of hand filtering, too, and to make sure you don't get caught up with a bad hand. Maybe get rid of some of these Phoenix Flames or something like that. You see Yuanji with a triple block on that Spinal Crush here, and he's going to come back with an attack of his own for 3. I believe that's a red.
I think that's a blue.
Is it a blue?
Yeah, I think this is just a small attack. Yuanji can play a little defense here. Maybe for that reason, maybe not all that threat heavy in hand.
Brandon Cinderclaw attacking for 1 here, I believe. It does look like it was 2, so maybe it's a yellow? It's so hard to say. I'm going to just, you know, Ryan's at 36.
Maybe it is a red.
Ryan's at 36. Yuanji's at 38. Back over to Ryan. Schrodinger's attack there. It was both 1 and 3 at the same time.
I don't know. At some point, maybe as a 40th birthday present to myself, I'll go get my eyes checked, and I'll get better at spotting the color strips on these cards.
All right. How good are you at reading very small text?
Not great.
How good are you remembering the 17 things Endless Winter does?
I know.
Because that was a double fuse, by the way.
Yeah, I know that it messes your turn up a lot and is annoying, and that's about the extent of it. We have a very powerful attack here. If it's blocked in any large number, it's going to get Frostbite. So what this card tends to do is just eat your turn. You generally will throw your whole hand in front of it a lot of the time. You know that means you're going to eat a lot of Frostbites, but whatever. You blocked out anyway. You prevented the damage. Let's see if Yuanji has the ability to do a small block, play through it, or if he just wants to take the damage and then have that triggered ability on the next turn. But it gets even worse from here. It is going to be a pummel from Ryan Rich, adding an on-hit. Thankfully, has a Phoenix Flame to go ahead and pitch. You don't mind that one too much. And now, activated ability is going to get a little bit worse on this turn. That's a Find Center.
Yeah, it's going to be creating a Frostbite anytime something like that happens, or whenever the defending hero adds a defending card to the chain link as well. So anytime Yuanji does anything pretty much but attack, he's going to be getting an extra Frostbite.
Thankfully for Yuanji, that's mostly what he wants
That's
to
mostly
do.
what his deck does, right? Yeah, his deck's like, I want to attack.
And that's why I say Endless Winter has a lot of text, but it kind of just does 2 things. It hits you, it does a bunch of damage, and then you know your hand ignores it, so you don't really care. Or you block a bunch, it does no damage, you get loaded up with Frostbites, but you used all your cards to block anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Searing Ember Blade's going to come across for 3 here. Looks like Ryan's going to take it. Or is he still thinking about it here? I thought he reached over to change his life. It looks like he did take it.
You're right. I think he did take it. And, you know, pretty small offensive bursts from Yuanji thus far.
His turn's starting to get a little long, though. No mask to really worry about here, though. But we do have a rupture to worry about here. This lava burst is going to get pumped by the equipment and by rupture.
Not bad from this lava burst. Decent little turn put together from Yuanji, despite being under the quote-unquote threat of Endless Winter.
Ryan down to 24, but with a full grip here. You got to believe there's some big attack in Yuanji's future. And yes, this is going to be another fused card. This one even more impactful probably than the last. This is a fused Oakenold.
Yeah, the biggest attack, I would say. Maybe not in numbers, but in terms of impact, for sure.
This is the most impactful attack in the game.
I think so. I think that's fair. 9 dominate, 2 random discards on hit, and Yuanji just says, okay.
Yeah, all right, send me the bill. Take 2 cards. We'll see what happens.
Falling down to 19 here.
We got 2 ships passing in the night here.
Yeah, not a lot of blocking thus far. Yuanji started blocking. Ryan Rich also started blocking, but since then, it's just been all offense.
We're going to randomize which cards get to be kept and which go away.
Those 2 cards headed to the bottom of the deck. I think I saw an E-Pod as one of them, possibly.
It looks like an Art of War with E-Strike here. E-Strike's going to go ahead and attack, put the Art of War on the bottom of the deck. Not great when you don't have a ton of cards in your hand. I wonder if this is just an attack for 7 here.
That's my guess, and I think that's totally fine. That's as far as a 2-card hand follow-up to Oakenold, I think you're completely on board with that if you're Yuanji.
So Ryan's going to go ahead and use this Tunic to activate Crown of Seeds, get into the fabled 5-card hand here.
The classic.
We saw this
a lot
so
more
much
in the Bravo days.
Yeah, in the Bravo Star of the Show days. Now we're down to Ultim doing it every now and then.
I think that's good. I think it shows how play patterns have diversified, how the game has gotten, honestly, more complex.
Absolutely. Speaking of complex, how does Ryan want to approach this? It's an attack for 7. It's got 1 shield up right now, so technically it's attacking for 6. If he wants to full block this, only 2 cards from your hand, and he can still operate with 3 more. But he's got I was supposed to say, I think he's got a couple big attacks in his hand. I thought maybe I saw a pummel. So maybe he's contemplating how big of an attack he can get on the way back here on Yuanji.
Yeah, as we said, not pure defensive Oldhim.
This is not your grandma's Oldhim.
Correct.
Look, a block from an Autumn's Touch. So this is going to block 4, so 3 is going to leak over. Yuanji is going to technically take the lead here in life.
But Ryan Rich coming back with a 4-card hand, and after making that decision, you have to expect some fireworks here.
This is a giant disable coming across. I think it is a blue one.
Okay. So, you know, somewhat in the middle as far as these attacks go. Not ultra threatening. Probably going to get some blocks from Yuanji since it's already threatening a card. Does have that crown, of course.
The Crown of Providence is going to come out and block.
Yeah, and crown showing its worth here.
Going to go up to a 5-card hand of his own. It looks like disable is going to come across, putting Yuanji down to 14.
I think this is a big spot in this match.
Yeah.
I think saving that card and getting a 5-card hand here.
This is it. This is the turn.
Yeah, if we see fireworks from Yuanji, could just seize the tempo here and maybe run away with this one.
Yeah, this is important. We've got 3 counters on the Tunic. We've still got the Shuko. We've got the Snapdragon Scalers as well for this turn. So if Yuanji has the resources in his hand to do this, like if he has enough stuff, this could be one of those giant turns. He's going to go ahead and pitch a blue here. He's playing Awakening. He's going to go find a Phoenix Flame.
Yeah, Flame Call Awakening. Going to go ahead and search through the deck. Make sure this combat chain gets a little bit wider. How's that grip looking over on Ryan Rich's side? I see an E-Strike. I see a bunch of big attacks, and it looks like it's time for some blocks. Cranial Crush going to be put to work here.
He's starting to sense what you and I are talking about. He's starting to realize this is one of the turns where I'm probably going to need to be careful. I'm going to need to preserve my life total because this is one of these really scary, scary matches. So we are watching a recording right now of what happened in this match. All of the matches have now been recorded. So they will be making an announcement for a top 8 soon. If that starts to happen, we're going to want to hear it live when y'all do it home. So you may have us we may mute our microphones for about a minute while they make the top 8 announcement, and then we'll give you that top 8 announcement ourselves when we're done with this match. So no spoilers.
Sounds like a plan, Tan, and I like it.
All right, a Jack-O-Lantern given over to Yuanji.
Yeah, and I think a good sense from Ryan of the time to use the stalagmite. It's such a critical decision. When are you going to go ahead and deploy and give your opponent a frostbite? Is this going to have negative impact on Yuanji's damage output on what has already become a very wide-looking turn?
Emberblade going to go ahead and come on out here, attacking for 3. I wonder if this life total is completely correct for Ryan Rich. We'll see. Yeah, there we go. Got an update down to 15. I got to believe Ryan feels a little more comfortable with how this turn's worked out, that he's still at 15 with the 1 card left in Yuanji's hand, and he's got a bunch of his own plus his arsenal. This turn could have gone much worse.
Yeah, and ultimately that card just going to head to Arsenal. Life totals now equalized. Did get some resources from Ryan. We see the first counter on the Stalagmite, first counter on the Crater Fist, but still good defensive options over on Ryan's side, and that turn, not too bad for a 5-card hand. I think Ryan's got to be pleased with that result.
Yeah, and this is where the problem's going to be. Ryan's got 3 cards off his hand and his arsenal. He's going to be attacking for some amount here, possibly the crush effect that could be relevant as well. And Yuanji, he had set up possibly trying to get a big turn. It didn't look like the top of the deck really corresponded well enough with that.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Tan. And now, are we going to see a big turn in response from Ryan? Start, Enlightened Strike, go again. So 5 go again headed the way of Yuanji. Just going to take it. And what's the follow-up here? How big is it?
It's going to be a hammer for 4.
Just hammer, but I think that's totally fine, threatening Yuanji's life total down to a very dangerous 5.
I think you got to take this if you're Yuanji, and we're going to put the pedal all the way down this turn.
Yeah, hopefully the clapback here is a little bit more substantial than we saw on that last turn.
I think if you block there, I think you're almost just giving up. Maybe not giving up, but you're kind of resigning yourself to your fate. So this is a blue that he pitched here.
Yeah, Soul Beat Strike is pitched. Going to go ahead and start the chain off with 4 damage.
Still a bunch of cards in his hand, including a Rupture card. I think we have or maybe not a Rupture card. Is that a Blaze Hedgehog in his hand? I think possibly.
I hope everything's a Blazing Hedgehog, honestly, but I'm not quite sure. I didn't catch it. That's a Soaring Strike we're seeing right now.
He's going to be met with a block for 3 here, plus the Crown of Seeds.
And there is the Blazing Hedgehog. That's coming through. Nice 4 go again for 0. That's a good rate.
Looks like it was taken by Ryan down to 10. Here comes the Ember Blade.
More damage being offered. 2 cards left for Yuanji. And remember, the question always is, are you going to present lethal? Because if the answer is no, I can just soak this damage. I can come back with my own salvo.
Ryan going down to 7 here, taking it. I see a pummel in Ryan's hand. I think he's trying to finish the game off this way.
Very threatening card.
He's about to go up to 3 on his Tunic as well.
Yeah.
So I think he's just trying to hold on.
I think that's a take the tempo.
Is that, I was going to say, we've been talking about this all weekend long, and if Yuanji can take the tempo here, he's going to be taking a spot in this top 8.
Yeah, Yuanji taking us very literally as he deploys take the tempo. And this looks like it may inspire a block from Ryan Rich. Going to go ahead and start lining up those blocks.
All right, we're going to go ahead and mute our microphones here for a little bit. We'll be right back when the top 8 announcement is over. All right, we are back. The top 8 has been announced. We'll get to you in just a second. I don't think this game is going to be going much longer. We're going to have one of these players put themselves into the top 8 with a win here. Looks like we've got a pitch. It's an attack for Command and Conquer from Ryan Rich. Suspiciously one floating here, and then he's got that tunic as well. And I think you could see it on Yuanji. He knows.
Just sat back.
He
and
knows.
Said, interesting. Interesting.
He could. It's almost like you could feel it. You know it's coming.
The problem is, though, if you overblock here and Ryan doesn't have it, you might just lose anyway. It's such a high-pressure situation for Yuanji, and it's one that has no good answer, quite frankly. Also, I believe has an energy potion in hand, so maybe can't even offer enough block, depending on the color of that pummel in Ryan Rich's hand.
I know that I've seen the card. I'm pretty sure there's a pummel there, but just looking at Ryan, this is a man who has a pummel.
It feels like he has a pummel.
Yeah.
But that's part of the strategy at this point. You have to represent like you have it. Are going to line up blocks from Yuanji. Here we see those resources being used. It is a pummel. Shows an energy potion.
So Yuanji going to go down to 1 here, draw back up, and pass the turn.
Yeah, and this is such a vulnerable position for Yuanji. Not a whole lot you can do. And any kind of dominated effect here, any attack that just trends a little too big if you have a bunch of block 2s in hand, could be game over. Winner's Bite going to be the lead here, possibly taking a card out of Yuanji's hand.
This is so impactful here. Like you were saying, I think a big attack behind this is just going to be too much.
Yeah, and you have to pitch your 2 block here just in case you have more 3 blocks in hand. What is the follow-up going to be? Big pitch. And it looks like a choke slam.
Be a triple block
Blocks
here.
presented.
Okay.
It is enough. It is enough to keep Yuanji alive. Exactly enough.
Yeah, Yuanji's not dead just yet.
But we're back to the exact same spot, and this is what happens in these scenarios. And Ryan Rich just keeps throwing haymaker after haymaker after haymaker.
Is that a Terra Sunder?
I think it is. Does he have enough to play that and an attack?
He could. Is that plus hammer enough to kill?
You expect it is, but also I think there's an enlightened strike, so you can just really cross your T's, dot your I's, threaten Yuanji in multiple ways. Combining this with a Terra Sunder has to be enough.
Card needs to go to the bottom here. And yeah, this might be enough. I think you can just attack for 9 here, and it's just going to be possibly too much for Yuanji as well.
Yeah, it looks like Spinal Crush being shipped here.
Maybe not.
So not enough resources to go ahead and do the Terra Sunder combo, but this does get a lot of cards from Yuanji, just loaded with 2 blocks. Hammer going to come through. It does get the Shuko. Alongside that Snatch, just going to arsenal up. Now we're looking at a 5-card hand. Equipment's almost gone for Yuanji, only having that Tunic. Does draw both a Razor Reflex 2 block and an Energy Potion no block. This feels like it's it. It feels like Ryan Rich about to punch a ticket to the top 8.
Yep, and from
Spinal Crush
Spinal
deployed.
Crush.
Energy Potion, Art of War, going to be used to draw 2 more, probably buffing defensively as well.
Looks like a block from everything.
Yeah, finds the block.
And this is a
but
pummel,
it's a pummel,
and that's
not
going to be
enough.
And that is most likely going to put Ryan Rich into the top 8. And I believe